All right, T.O., we're going to go to you first on this one. North Carolina gets a win at Notre Dame. Elliott Cadeau, a huge win. Louisville gets Kadir Traore back. Abubakar Traore, they call him Kadir. Gets a win at home against UNC by 13, and then goes on the road to Virginia in a game that you called and wins by 20. Who had the best week out of anybody in the ACC?
Louisville did, because they beat North Carolina at home in kind of a statement to get the Yum Center back going. And then to go to Virginia, I don't care who the coach is of Virginia. It's still the same system. It's still tough. They beat them by 20. And I think Kadir Traore, what he was able to do, injecting some energy. And the defensive versatility, guys, is just awesome. He was matched up against Elijah Saunders when Elijah Saunders was in the game. And then when Saunders was out, he was a point of pickup against the opposing team's point guard. So, like, you want to talk about some defensive versatility, what he's able to do, just bringing energy. And then I just 2-0. Chucky Hepburn's playing as well as any point guard in college basketball right now. And I would have to pick Louisville for team of the week in that league, because they had a really nice kind of a statement week, if you will, about how this is going to go for the rest of the conference play. Their next two guys, Clemson at home, at Pitt. They play Pitt one more time on the road. That you want to talk about your opportunities, where are they at for the NCAA tournament? This next two games. This is the most important week for Louisville for the rest of this season.
Make or break week. It really is.
It's a make or break week for the Cardinals.
Mm-hmm. Fandom?
Well, when you look at this game, I mean, first off, if you're Notre Dame, that is just a gut punch. I mean, you're up by 3 with 10 seconds to go in the game. That is you can't do what they did. You foul on a 3. First off, no, cannot happen. Nor alone if it goes in. I mean, that was a disaster situation. Carolina, like, Ian Jackson has gotten a lot better, and as the years gone on, just evolving in season. He is a stud. He is a stud. Ian Jackson is a stud. Seth Trimble being out hurts Carolina a ton, because Seth, earlier in the season, he was having as good of a season that you're going to find. So,
hey, Fan, let me ask you this. We asked Tyler and T.O. this last night. Would you put Ian Jackson? Would you put Seth Trimble back in the starting lineup when he gets healthy? They're calling it an upper body injury. They haven't been very specific about what it is or the timetable for his return. But would you put him in the starting lineup and drop Ian Jackson at this point? Would you start the 4 guards? Like, what would you do if you're Hubert Davis?
Knowing what Ian's doing, I wouldn't take him out of there, because I think he's taking on a role where they could play through him as much as they can. And Seth could be really good off the bench for this team. Now, he should be finishing games, and he should still be playing a lot. But sometimes for the team dynamic, it's for the best. So I'll tell you what, guys, I think that for Carolina, sometimes you got to just escape to move on from that. But the fact is, when you look at their metrics, right, this is a team that has one quadrant 1 win. There's not a load of opportunities in the ACC. And there's a whole heck of a lot more opportunities to lose a Q2 or Q3 game than there are to garner a quad 1 win. Upcoming schedule. Tomorrow night, they get SMU at home. SMU coming off a beating that they took at home to Duke. They're not going to be happy about that. I predict that will be a ball game. And SMU's capable. I mean, they're a bubbly team, but they're capable with Boopy Miller and Chuck Harris to be in the game and to have a chance. You go to NC State. You should win that game, knowing where NC State is.
Rivalry game, though, man. Rivalry games are always tough.
It's a rivalry game. The crowd will be wild. Those fans are crazy. Then you get Cal and Stanford at home before you go to Wake Forest, and that would be a big game. The thing about Carolina is, like, again, when you show up and that rebounding is a big area of question, and defensively you're not particularly great, that's where you're susceptible to losing to anybody. And so they are in South Bend, like we found a way. You're going to have to live life on the edge here, because you take a quad 3 loss in this league and you look at the lack of Q1 material. And if it's a team not named North Carolina, we're not really talking about them when it pertains to NCAA tournaments. So you got to keep a lot in mind here. They're still in a decent spot, but they really need to figure some things out. And it is, Terrence, you know this because you played. It's hard to figure things out in January.
Yeah, you are what you are at that point. I don't know. We've talked about North Carolina. I don't want to bash them anymore. Like, they are what they are. You're going to have to find a way to gang rebound with guards, and sometimes it's just not going to matter. Like that game against Louisville, just didn't matter what they had. They were just going to lose that game because they just didn't have the size to match up. So,
yeah,
it's tough.
The Florida one is the one that stands out to me. Like, if you watch the end of that, there's two huge offensive rebounds that Florida gets, where North Carolina had position and had a box, and it was
just didn't matter.
6'3" Seth Trimble was
same thing against Louisville when Louisville just got a switch and just threw it over their head. Like it was almost demoralizing. Like, you're just watching it happen. Like they were the most simple things. Force a switch, just throw it over their head. It was crazy.
Yep. All I'll say for North Carolina, and it kind of goes for Louisville too, as long as they take care of business against the teams that they are supposed to beat throughout the rest of the ACC season, right? Don't have a dumb slip up like at Boston College or anything like that. I think both of those teams will be dancing. I feel.
Well, I mean, they both be dancing if they go undefeated the rest of the season.
I'm saying like, you lose at Pitt, okay. You get beat by Duke, okay.
You just have to have some cushion. You got to have some cushion, and Carolina has no cushion.
I think they have more than people give them credit for. They beat Dayton on a neutral. They beat UCLA on a neutral. Those are two good wins, and they don't have there's no anchor.
There's no bad loss. I hear you.
Yeah.
That's going to be the argument.
Yeah, and they have two. I think that both of those wins are going to end up being quad one wins. So you'll have two quad one wins on your resume on Selection Sunday at minimum. And then look, they have a stretch there, end of January, early February, at Pitt, at Duke, Pitt at home, at Clemson. You get two of those, and you're going to dance. You're going to be in the NCAA tournament as long as you get two of those and you win 14, 15 games in the ACC, and Carolina's going to dance. Not going to make a run, but they're going to dance.